promoted have been very kindly accepted by the dignitaries.
Make in India brings infinite opportunity.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and a very warm welcome to each one of you people, those who are standing at the back. May I request everybody to kindly be seated, and I would request the dignitaries to kindly come on the dais, sir, and please take your respective seats. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here on the release of the white paper on border tourism, and very happy to share it with you. The chief guest of the day, Shri Arvind Singh Ji, IAS, Secretary, Ministry of Tourism, Government of India, is here. A big round of applause for him. Sir has given us time, and we have discussed in length when we met him on the other day at his office. We also have Mr. Harpreet Singh. Is the Joint Secretary, Ministry of Development of Northeastern Region, donor, Government of India. Big round of applause for Mr. Harpreet Singh Ji also. And we also have Mr. Rama Kamaraju, Senior Consultant from Niti Aayog, Aspirational Districts Program. So we also welcome him. Of course, our President, Mr. Saket Dalmia, and our both the co-chairs, Mr. Rajan Sehgal and Mr. Dushyant Bhella, along with our dynamic Secretary General, Mr. Saurabh Sanyal, we are here. So, ladies and gentlemen, we will not take much of time, requesting all to stand for the national anthem. Thank you. On behalf of PHDCCI, I would like to welcome once again to all the dignitaries and the delegates on the dais and off the dais, and media, diplomats from various countries. I can see Australia, Bhutan, Vietnam, Ghana, Japan. People are here. I also welcome on behalf of my own self and on behalf of PHDCCI. Before I request our President, Mr. Saket Dalmia, to give his presidential address, let me share that 18 Indian states and union territories share their border with 7 neighboring countries, namely Pakistan and Afghanistan in the northwest, China, Nepal, and Bhutan in the north, and Myanmar and Bangladesh in the east, and in south, Sri Lanka and Maldives. Tourism and Hospitality Committee of PHDCCI has organized 18 webinars, as I was sharing it with each one of you, from June 2021 to February 2022, focusing on Arunachal Pradesh, Rajasthan, Punjab, Meghalaya, Gujarat, Nagaland, Bihar, Manipur, Jammu and Kashmir, Mizoram, Ladakh, West Bengal, Himachal Pradesh, Tripura, Uttarakhand, Assam, Uttar Pradesh, and Sikkim. Chamber also prepared a white paper on border tourism post the 18 webinars which would be released today. So before we proceed further, may I request dignitaries on the dais to kindly light the lamp, please. May I request the Secretary Tourism, Government of India, to kindly come, and the dignitaries, those who are on the dais, to please come and light the lamp. Thank you. A big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. So before we proceed further, may I request my colleague Sanchit if we can have the glimpses of all the 18 interface which we did from June 2021. Ladies and gentlemen, yeah, please go ahead. Please go ahead. Sir, the first started on 24th June 2021 in Arunachal Pradesh. Next. Then on 29th June in Rajasthan. Then on 14th July in Punjab. Please go back. Yeah, 30th July in Meghalaya. Then on 6th August it was in Gujarat. Then on 27th August it was in Nagaland. 7th September it was in Bihar. 24th September in Manipur. 6th October in J&K. 22nd October in Mizoram. 12th November in Union Territory Ladakh. And 26th November in West Bengal. 3rd December in Himachal Pradesh. 17th December in Tripura. 7th January in Uttarakhand. 21st January in Assam. 11th February in Uttar Pradesh. 25th February in Sikkim. And yes, this was the culmination when it was there in Jaisalmer on 27th of February 2022. So ladies and gentlemen, these are the set of interfaces which we have had. And this was the advice direction by Ministry of Tourism, Government of India to PHDCCI that let us have these interface, and post that we will have a detailed white paper we would be releasing on this. So in this interface, we are going to release this white paper. Now I would like to request our President, Mr. Saket Dalmia, to kindly give his presidential address. Over to Mr. Dalmia. A big round of applause for our President.
Thank you, Yogesh ji. A very warm welcome on this cold afternoon come evening to everybody. Thank you for making it here. Shri Arvind Singh ji, IAS, Secretary, Ministry of Tourism, Government of India. So nice of you, sir, to once again come to the efforts of the chamber. Thank you, sir. Mr. Harpreet Singh, IPOS, Joint Secretary, Ministry of Donor, Government of India. Mr. Rama Kamaraju, Senior Consultant, Aspirational Districts Program, Niti Aayog. Mr. Vikramjit Singh, our Chair. Dr. Deep Goyal ji, our Chair, Hospitals, Diagnostics and Wellness Committee at the PhD CCI. Mr. Rajan Sehgal ji, our Co-Chair, Tourism and Hospitality. Ms. Hania Bhardwaj ji, our Co-Chair. Mr. Dushyant Barla, my dear friend, Co-Chair, PhD CCI. Our dear SG, Mr. Saurabh Sanyal. Our ASG, Dr. Yogesh Srivastav. Dear ambassadors, diplomats, senior members of the chamber and friends of the media. I'm sure that talking anything about tourism involving India has taken a global meaning at the backdrop of the G20. And today's efforts was one of the key ingredients in making G20 a grand success for India and for the world. When we talk about border tourism, I think in a very funny and enlightening way, the way I see border tourism evolve is that most of the countries which we see across the world are often divided through some kind of geographical challenges. Maybe a mountain which is so high that we cannot easily cross. Maybe an ocean so deep that we cannot simply hop over. Sometimes deep jungles, and sometimes man-made barriers. But mostly the barriers are to do with sand dunes and water and mountains, which nature has given to us. Whenever I go to any country, the most attractive feature of those countries highlighted by themselves, by their countrymen, are those geographical limitations dividing nations into beauties which we often go and see. I'm sure you will agree when we look at the Niagara Falls or the forests or the Andes or the Alps which divide various nations, they have become beauty spots which we all want to go and see, enjoy, and often wonder how beautiful they are and how unique they are. So I think a year ago, when we heard about G20 into India, one curiosity which came into our minds was, what's unique about India? We know the cultural heritage which we have. We know we have one of the oldest cultures, the religion, the spirituality, the history. But along with that, we have a beautiful range of border which divides us as nations, at the same time offers us beautiful opportunities to explore for tourism and for spirituality. When we look towards the Himalayas, when we look towards Tibet, when we look towards Nepal, it's a different flavor. When we look towards Jaisalmer and the sand dunes, it's a different flavor. When we look towards our oceans and the small islands which are sprinkled all over, it's a different feeling. We ask ourselves that how can we be the catalyst of pointing out to the government and to the various businesses which are involved with the chamber and beyond, keeping in mind that we are 150,000 members strong at the PhD Chamber of Commerce, spread across 16 states and 4 union territories, headquartered in Delhi, having the unique opportunity of having a Tourism Secretary of India with us discussing about this. So we asked ourselves, what do we talk about? So we said, why not talk about the potentiality and the beauty what India offers around its borders, especially the mountains, the hills, the waters, the forests, and at times also islands which we have not really gone, inhabited and developed. Suddenly we are talking about going to the Andaman when we are talking about the G20. So you can imagine that everybody is looking for uncharted areas within India to develop and showcase to the world. So this is that effort, and I think border tourism is just a reference to a cluster of idea. Otherwise, we are just showcasing more of beautiful India, and hopefully we can have some thought leadership with this session as to how, first of all, develop it better for the world which is coming here, how we can access it better. I think with better infrastructure which has come up with airports and roadways and waterways in small remote areas, that we are ready now to showcase all our beautiful spaces across the world. So this is the idea with which we made this white paper. Hopefully we can add some value, get your inputs, and have the whole world enjoy India. Thank you once more for everybody being here.
Thank you, President. Thank you very much for your wonderful remarks. And yes, Tourism and Hospitality Committee is committed to have such kind of interface in future. And then we will also ensure that, as President has said, that we have 16 states where we have the presence. So we will also ensure that we must have interfaces in these states also. So what is this knowledge report, what we have basically the ingredients of this. So to set the theme, may I request Mr. Rajan Sehgal, our co-chair of the Tourism and Hospitality Committee, to kindly set the theme for today's agenda. Over to you, Mr. Sehgal. A big round of applause for Mr. Sehgal. He has done wonderful works in tourism and hospitality area.
Thank you very much. My respect to the dais, senior diplomats, my travel industry friends, and the travel media. We are grateful that you have given us your time. And on behalf of PhD Chamber of Commerce, I am pleased to welcome all the dignitaries on the event of release of this white paper on border tourism. It was a great idea when everybody was sitting at home doing nothing. We have been asked by the Ministry of Tourism, especially Secretary Sir, that why don't you do something on border tourism? So then, we made this brainstorming session among our tourism committee, and then we thought that why can't we do these webinars during the lockdown? So where we can involve all the states and we can tell the world, especially the India, that tourism never stops. So that's why how we started in 2021 and finished all the 18 states webinar in the span of 1 year. And I'm very, very thankful to Ministry of Tourism, Secretary Sir, the DG, that time Mrs. Rupinder Barar was there. They were all giving us big support, and they appreciate our idea. They put this forward to Niti Aayog. They asked Niti Aayog also to interact with us very closely. And in all our 18 webinars on border tourism, the Ministry of Tourism, Niti Aayog, and all the state concerned officials were involved. I think they need a big applause for that. And you know, the concept of border tourism was also very important during that time, because after pandemic, the entire travel trends have changed. People don't want to visit the crowded places. They don't want to visit the typical, you know, closed door hotels also. So border tourism is the area which is open, close to the nature, and very close to the other countries also. So that's why we worked on border tourism, where I think, Secretary Sir, I have done my graduation and post-graduation in tourism from Delhi University. But these 18 webinars, I have done another graduation on tourism. It was a great learning point for me, you know. So, which I have not learned, because every day, still after 35 years in the travel and tourism, I'm still learning. And the Tourism and Hospitality Committee of PHDI, with the support of Ministry of Tourism, Niti Aayog, and all the states, you know, it was a great success. 18 Indian states and union territories share their border with 7 neighboring countries. One district per state, you know, was identified, and the webinar highlighted the need to promote tourism education among the locals, and also to develop tourism infrastructure in that area. 18 webinars have been organized, and my colleague, Mr. Yogesh Srivastavaji, has already given you on which states we have given. And you know, in each state, it was a new learning. When we were doing the Punjab border tourism on Firozpur, we were told by the commissioner the Hussainiwala border is much more better than the Wagah border, you know. There the flag hosting ceremony is more colorful than the Wagah borders, because the Indians and Pakistani sides are sitting on a handshake distance. And they said it's a big history also in Firozpur. All the British clubs, there is a beautiful dancing floor which you won't find in anywhere in the world. There is a golf course also in Firozpur. And then, you know, our great freedom fighters, Bhagat Singh, Sukhdev, and Rajguru, they were hanged in that Firozpur. So that was an eye-opener thing when we were doing these 18 webinars, you know. And we did it similarly on different states. In Bihar, on Sita Mani, where we were told that Sita ji gave birth to a love kush over there. So it was a great learning for all of us. And then we, you know, then when we discussed with the Ministry of Tourism, they said you must come out with a white paper. And when you see the book and the hard work of the Tourism Committee of the PhD Chamber of Commerce under the dynamic leadership of our President, it will be a great success, you know. And I want to thank all my colleagues from Yogesh Srivastavaji to Sulagna Ghosh, who worked very hard. She is missing because not well. Sanchit and Sanjeev, you know, they have done a good hard work. And our main work is, you know, how to bring these places on the map, because India is full of beautiful places, as our President said, but these border areas, you know, makes a difference, you know. They are like our domestic travel might turn international border tourism. Let's explore the places where one can almost see the boundary disappear into another country. You know, when you reach a border area, you can almost touching the new country. So PhD is committed to create such meaningful platforms to do its bit in enabling all the parameters of tourism industry and to grow, flourish further. And in G20 also, we have told Ministry of Tourism, and we got a call from DG Tourism this morning that please come and discuss how PhD wants to work in various projects of G20 as far as tourism is concerned. So this is the theme, and I think once you hear from the experts also, you will find some more information. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Rajanji. Thank you very much for your wonderful remarks. Big round of applause for Mr. Rajan Sehgal, is the co-chair of our Tourism and Hospitality Committee. As Rajanji, you have rightly said that since when we were doing this 18 interface with all the states, ladies and gentlemen, let me share it with you, and Secretary Sir, we were connected with the DCs over there, and we have also told and requested the DC that one of the persons, one of the officers must be connected with us when we were making this white paper. So I must mention the name of Mrs. Roy from Sikkim. She has also put a lot of hard work in this, apart from Sulagna, Sanchit, and Sanjeev. So that we will be releasing it shortly. Before we do that, we have with us Dr. Deep Goyal, Chair of our Hospitals, Diagnostics and Wellness Committee. May I request Dr. Deep Goyal to kindly share it with us in the border areas, what are the requirements in terms of health and how the health infrastructure can be created over there. Over to Dr. Deep Goyal. A big round of applause for him.
Thank you, dignitaries on the dais and the friends on the floor. Thanks for inviting me. As we all know that today we are here to brainstorm and have some ideas by which we can really live the dream of making our borders so popular in the world that we welcome everybody from across the world as a tourist to this place. We all know that health has always been an Achilles heel of rural area, and today, however passionate we are, present dispensation, but we are still struggling with the rural health. And I think the easiest thing which we can do today, once there is development which starts, obviously we know that once the hard infrastructure is there, it is very easy to develop the soft infrastructure. And today, in the world of digital times, and digital health is not something which is not accessible. You must have read the papers today that we did a colonoscopy today remotely using the 5G technology. And in 2001, when I was in US, we did a telesurgery from France in a patient who was in USA. So we are today talking about that if the expertise is not available in the rural area, but if infrastructure is available, things can be guided and it can be very easily done. The question is now today, there is hardly any infrastructure, and the kind of people who are staying in these border villages are, we know, are quite deprived people. So once we have a big areas and we have a tie-up with the district hospitals, I think that is what is basically be tied up to the district hospitals. District hospitals have to be robust and enabled by the latest technology, which is also the mandate from the present government that each district should have a medical college now, and which is becoming quite practically possible now. In some of the states like Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, almost 70% of the district are now attached to a medical college. So that's a big gain, and that is what needs to be done in these border villages, that within a sort of radius of 100 kilometers, one must have a district hospital which should be equipped with at least tertiary care equipments, and then public-private partnership, because that seems to be the easiest way forward to ramp up the infrastructure. And once you have infrastructure in terms of hardware, software, as I said, is just a formality in today's time. We can go to the next step. Once we make a world-class infrastructure and we develop these villages as a border, tourist villages where we invite people from all over the world, and then we can talk about medical tourism to these areas. We know that India today is an $8 billion industry in terms of medical tourism, and it's growing at 27.4% CAGR year on year. And once we develop these villages, there is no reason why we cannot use these villages to showcase our medical expertise. As we know that today, all around the world, especially in US, Canada and UK, around 50 to 65% of the doctors and the nurses are of Indian origin. So we already have made a name in the field of health. We are a trusted name. If you, in US, you go to a doctor who is of Indian origin, believe me, they command much more respect and credibility as compared to their counterparts of other countries. So basically, we already know that the Indian doctors and Indian nurses and the healthcare is recognized all over the world. We are reasonably priced as compared to other countries. So we already have huge amount of medical tourism coming in. But once we develop the infrastructure in these scenic places and make them a tourist place, I see no reason why they cannot be promoted as a place where medical tourism can happen, and that will further boost the tourism in that area. I think these are some of my thoughts: digital health, infrastructure development, medical tourism, and they are quite low-hanging in my opinion. Thank you very much.
A big round of applause for Dr. Deep Goyal. He is our chairman of the Hospitals, Diagnostics and Wellness Committee of PHDCCI. Ladies and gentlemen, I have been told that there are students, and I call them the future managers of our country, from Jagannath Institute of Management Studies. They are also here, and we also have the future managers of our country from IHM Pusa. A big round of applause for yourself. these guys are here and they are the ones who will be taking over from us in the tourism and hospitality sector. Ladies and gentlemen, now I would request Mr. Ram Kamaraju, Senior Consultant, Aspirational Districts Program, Niti Aayog, to kindly share his views. And he has been coming in number of our webinars, sir. May I request you to kindly enlighten yourself with respect to the Niti Aayog.
Secretary sir, other dignitaries on the dais, diplomats, students and friends, a very warm good evening to all of you. And at the outset, thank you PSD Chamber for giving me an opportunity to participate in this particular white paper release program. So it was a very good idea, a very good suggestion given by Secretary Tourism. So when PSD approached us, because of the border tourism, we have been already engaging in the aspirational districts program. We thought that it would be a perfect strategy or a particular idea to combine these two and try to move forward as far as the development of border tourism in the districts and in the villages of the country. So why aspirational districts has come into picture is that the aspirational district program, we were very, very successful in improving the socio-economic parameters in the selected districts, and the template was so successful in the last review or in the last review meeting which we had, wherein Honorable Prime Minister has stated that these aspirational districts have now become an inspirational districts to all other districts in the country. So that is the success of the program which we had for running in the more than last 3.5 years time. So we want to couple this particular experience or the template for even the tourism aspects, especially in the border districts of the country. Therefore, we combined, we joined, and we were participating in all the webinars and so first and foremost thing is, as already pointed out, the infrastructure of these border districts have to be improved. Thereby, then we can think of economic development or development of tourism in these districts. So, having run this aspirational districts program for the last 3.5 years, there was an immense development not only in the socio-economic parameters as well as the infrastructure of these districts have also been improved immensely in terms of, say, all-weather roads, whether it may be all-weather roads, it may be a drinking water, it may be electricity. All those parameters, key basic infrastructure parameters have been saturated in these districts. So that is the starting point where anyone can think of the next economic development in the same region. That is where the focus was on the tourism. Therefore, for development of tourism and making it also a very vibrant, attract places, and thereby the economy of these border districts should also improve, we have requested all the district administration to just extend the socio-economic indicators improvement template to this tourism as well. So that is where we were part of this particular initiative, and we are looking forward for the report because for the white paper to release, and in future as well, wherever the involvement of Niti Aayog or support is required, we love to extend the same. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. That was Mr. Rama Kamaraju, Senior Consultant, Aspirational Districts Program, Niti Aayog. A big round of applause for Mr. Kamaraju, because as he has said that he has always been guiding us, supporting us, and giving us knowledge that how to basically proceed further while having this interface with all the 18 webinars. Before we go on release, we have with us Mr. Harpreet Singh Ji, Joint Secretary, Ministry of Development of Northeastern Region, donor, Government of India. So may I request you to kindly, sir, come and share your views, what important role donor is actually playing in this area. Over to Joint Secretary Donor. A big round of applause for him.
Secretary Tourism, President PhD CII, dignitaries on the stage, ladies and gentlemen. The reason I think I am here is to try and give you a regional perspective, from the Northeast region. Tourism continues to be a very important sector that we concern ourselves with. A lot of the infrastructure development projects that are undertaken under various schemes of the ministry are focused towards development of tourism. That may not have been adequate actually, because probably we've not been able to develop tourism or look at it in a very comprehensive and holistic manner, which is required to be done. Some statistics for you. Northeast region, the 8 states of the Northeast region comprise about 8% of the area of the country and about close to 4% of the population. But it has its international border, all its borders, 98% of it is international. So you can imagine, if you can imagine the Northeast region, you'll understand what I mean, from China up to Myanmar, down to Bangladesh, Bhutan, Nepal, etc. So that's the scope, that's the potential that probably is there for border tourism in the Northeast region. But it has a very small share of tourists coming to the Northeast region. Only about 0.3% of domestic tourists and about 0.93% of the foreign tourists are visiting Northeast region. As far as domestic tourists is concerned, Assam is number 1, followed by Sikkim. And as far as foreign tourists is concerned, it's Tripura. And the reason for that is Bangladesh, the proximity that it has to Bangladesh, the cultural, the traditional linkages, the trading, the community linkages that have been there prior to 1947, which continue even now, right? So even now there is a whole lot of movement of people across the border for multiple reasons, religious reasons, health reasons, healthcare reasons, education, etc. So these are things that need to be built upon even more if we are to look at tourism in a comprehensive manner. There are 14 aspirational districts in the Northeast region. The gentleman from Niti Aayog dwelt on it. There are 14, of which 7 are border districts. So 7 aspirational districts are border districts, which again need to be looked at if border tourism is to be developed in the Northeast region. And there is tremendous scope, there is tremendous potentiality which just needs to be tapped. Apart from the fact that, we of course understand that there is a lot of infrastructure development to be done, connectivity needs to be improved, we also need to understand that perhaps in the Northeast, big tourism may not work. It may work in some parts of the Northeast region. But today, what people look for and what the people in the Northeast are comfortable with is, tourism which is not disruptive, which is immersive, which allows you to experience what life in the Northeast region is all about. You live in the village, have their food, their cultural, have a cultural experience, the dance, the songs, etc., but not disrupt that way of life. And I think that is something that we, who are not in the Northeast, need to be very sensitive about. And that would, of course, apply to the border districts as well. So there is a, there is a whole tourism ecosystem that has developed in the Northeast, which is really under the radar. It's by way of WhatsApp, by email, by, word of mouth, etc. There are a whole lot of social entrepreneurs who are in this business in the Northeast. If anybody has been to Northeast, they would understand that. And everybody is looking for that one immersive experience. Go there to live the way the people in the Northeast live. And so border districts, yes, that could be done. A lot of them are not very well connected, which would be a challenge. But if that could be done, and that is being done, that needs to be done probably in a more focused manner. If it is done, then these borders are accessible to tourists from not just the rest of the country, but from all over the world, and people can go and see what it's all about. So we have been engaging with a lot of stakeholders, a lot of tour operators, people in the hospitality sector, etc., trying to come up with a plan as to how we should progress as the Ministry of Donor. In fact, a few weeks ago, my secretary had a meeting with Secretary of Tourism. I happened to be there. And it has been decided that there would be a tourism task force that would be constituted by Ministry of Donor with the support of Ministry of Tourism, of course. We would have all the stakeholders participating, chambers of commerce, such as PSDCCI also participating in that. In fact, so in that context, the white paper that is being released on border tourism may be a very, very useful input for us, and we will look forward to engaging with you in the future as well. So, having said this, I'd just like to conclude by saying that the next Surajkund Fair that is being held in February of the next year, it's the northeastern states, the 8 northeastern states, which are going to be the theme states. So we have made a particular effort to include the people and the culture from the border districts, aspirational districts as well. So if you are not able to visit the northeast region anytime in the future, please join us in Surajkund and we'll be happy to show you a bit of northeast region. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. This was Mr. Harpreet Singh, Joint Secretary, Ministry of Development of Northeastern Region, donor. A big round of applause for him. And as sir, as you have said, the PSDCCI, especially the Tourism and Hospitality Committee, would love to be part and parcel of the Tourism Task Force, and we would be very happy to brand the next Surajkund to amongst all our members, so that more and more participation can happen, in the February initiative. Before we request the Chief Guest of the day, to kindly give this knowledge report to all the dignitaries on the dais. Ladies and gentlemen, let me share it with you. This knowledge report was not possible because it was a big round of support from our creative team, Pradeep, Hariom and Ajay, from the design team, and of course our Secretary General, Mr. Saurabh Sanyal, who has gone through each and every page and then he has given the approval to print it. So a big round of applause for our SG also. Sir, may I request to kindly come, and then we will release this. A big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, sir. You can see it's a complete, a big report. Now I would request
the Secretary Tourism, the Chief Guest of the day, Shri Arvind Singh Ji, IAS Secretary, Ministry of Tourism, to kindly give his address. Over to you, sir. A big round of applause for Secretary, sir.
Mr. Saket Dalmia, Dr. Deep Goel, Mr. Rajan Sehgal, the dignitaries on the dais, my colleagues from Donor, Niti Aayog, diplomats, ladies and gentlemen, friends from the media and students from IHM and other institutions who are here. Thank you, because this is what we are seeing, the culmination of 2 years of very hard work done by the PhD chamber, especially during COVID times when physical interactions were not possible. And in that time we were trying, and we were successful in doing these webinars. My colleagues from the Ministry of Tourism and the Niti Aayog and the state governments, the district administration, all participated in this. And this was a very meaningful event. So my congratulations to PhD Chamber and the team who have worked for not only the webinars, but producing this document, because very often, we are unable to document some of the work that we do, and this is a very good effort in that direction. So, ladies and gentlemen, when I'm here and we are talking about border tourism, I thought I would divide I would share my thoughts in 3 different parts. One, of course, is give you a feeling of the state of play as far as tourism in India is concerned, because whenever I meet anyone, I keep getting asking questions on the different parts of, our opening up or our international, when is it going to open, and what is the state of play. So, most of you who would have traveled in India in the recent times must have experienced that domestic tourism is definitely reviving, and it is revived very strongly. And we have seen signs of that, and the numbers are very clear. If you see the numbers in Jammu and Kashmir, if you see the numbers in Goa, Statue of Unity, Varanasi, you may name any of the important places, there is a significant uptick in the number of visitors who are coming, and especially domestic tourists. To give you an example, we were answering a parliamentary question, and the figures that we got for Jammu and Kashmir was astounding, because the previous highest for Jammu and Kashmir, the valley in any year, was 13 lakh. Pre-COVID, the previous highest since independence was 13 lakh visitors to the valley in a year, and already in October they had crossed 20 lakhs this year, and they expect to cross even further. So that gives you a sense of the numbers that people have the confidence and are traveling, and I'm sure that is reflected in other parts of the country also. Even in the northeast there would be an upswing. States, even places like Varanasi, it's the numbers are phenomenal. There's a huge growth in the number of domestic visitors. As far as international visitors go, yes, the progress has not been as much because we opened up late, and globally, while the revival of inbound tourism has been very strong in Europe and the US because they opened up early post-COVID, Asia Pacific as a region has been lagging behind because most countries of Asia Pacific opened up late. India, Japan, China, you are aware of what is the problem happening there. So China, the different issues. And I recently attended an event abroad where a paper was presented on the prospects of recovery in Asia Pacific. And people who have access to forward data, in the sense of forward bookings and others, expect that India will be one of the strong performers in inbound tourism also. And they expect the recovery of inbound travel to be the fastest in India, in the Asia Pacific region, and partly because of 2-3 reasons. A, we opened up well in time. We finished off all controls and made travel very easy, opened up e-visas. Now we have opened up e-visas also for the major 2 countries which were, there was a question mark, that is UK and Canada, that has also been opened. And secondly, the very strong vaccination program, which has given confidence about our management of the pandemic. And people are closely watching the strong revival of domestic tourism, which gives them a confidence also that, yes, if domestic travelers are able to travel in such large numbers, it is an encouraging sign for even the international traveler. Now, having said that, we have another strong opportunity this year, which is the presidency of the G20. And in the shape of the G20, the government has consciously chosen, whereas, say, in Indonesia, the G20 was held in only, it's a smaller nation, it was held in only 7 or 8 locations. The government of India has consciously decided to hold meetings at 55 locations across the country, basically to showcase, the different parts of the country, and we have a lot to show. as you are aware that a country of our size, which is a subcontinent, we have a lot to show compared to most other countries in terms of our heritage, our natural sites, our mountains, our lakes, our oceans, and the beaches and everything. So 55 locations, and more than 200 meetings will be held at these 55 locations. So you will see a few meetings have already started in December. The Sherpas meeting took place in Udaipur, a development group meeting took place in Mumbai, and a finance track meeting took place at Bangalore. And those who would have been following it must have seen how these cities were spruced up by the local governments and with the kind of events that were organized. So definitely these give us an opportunity to bring the remaining 52 locations. 3 have already seen meetings, to showcase them, bring them up on the map, and present them to the globe. And you will be seeing that happening in the months ahead, which will culminate, of course, in the summit at Delhi. As far as the we'll be having 4 working group meetings in different, one in each region of the country, one in the north, one in the east, one in the west, and one in the south, or you can say southwest. So the Olo meeting and the minister will be a major investor conference in the month of March at New Delhi to attract foreign and domestic investment more in the tourism sector. Then MICE conference at Bangalore International, because we want to, and everybody feels India should be the next major MICE destination. So that will be in April in Bangalore. A major adventure tourism international convention in probably Uttarakhand somewhere. That will be in the month of May. And of course, what happens where we don't have to make much of an effort, but the World Travel and Tourism Council, which is a body of the leading private sector companies in the travel trade, they organize a global CEOs meeting always before the G20 Tourism Ministerial. So that will happen in Goa, and that will be organized by the WTTC with support from us, but the lead will be from the WTTC. They did one in Bali also this time, and they'll do one in Goa also in June when we do the ministerial. So you will see there is a lot of action. There will be a lot of focus and attention on the tourism working group, other working groups, these 55 locations, and the side events that we'll be doing. So, 23 promises, and COVID should cooperate with us, and 23 should, promise to, see a lot of activity on the tourism front. Now, coming to border tourism, my experience was, of course, through these webinars that they were doing, and the results that were coming out of that. And some very encouraging insights were coming out of that. Fact remains that most of the border areas, because they are, in remote locations, the infrastructure and other facilities tend to be not of, the desired level. And when I went through this statistics, I found that we had, over the years, the ministry had been funding projects in the border areas. For instance, the BSF, the showcase event that happens at Vaga, a lot of infrastructure that's been funded by us, other BSF locations, or at other points all across the country. We have done so, but we were asked to do a deep dive because the government was, seriously looking at doing something in the border areas apart from these webinars. A quick study with the help of the Institute of Tourism Management at Gwalior, and we did a study in Pithoragarh district of Uttarakhand. And we studied that for about 6 weeks. Our teams went there and came up, and the results they came, quite revealing. And we found that this district, which is on the route of the Kailash Mansarovar trek, and many of our Indian pilgrims do take that route. We found that the infrastructure there was very wanting in terms of basic power availability, telecom availability, the roads network, the access to other health facilities, which Dr. Goel also mentioned, the absence of a very high level of rescue facilities. So we were able to present this, and one of the good reasons, I think one of the very good results that came out from this was the Vibrant Villages program that was announced by the finance minister in the last budget speech, and that is showing very serious intent of the government to develop the infrastructure at select border villages. In the first lot, the Ministry of Home, which has been given this job, has selected 16 villages to do the pilot project on the Border Villages program. And they're doing this in different states, different villages. And the idea is to, with the help of the state governments, build the infrastructure so that we see less migration. Most of the, typically in the, especially in the border villages, in the higher reaches of the mountains, what we see is in the winter there is migration. People come down to the plains or to lower levels. Those areas are vacant during those parts of the year because there's no source of either employment or other sources of income. So the idea being that if there is infrastructure, people will stay there. If there is infrastructure, probably say homestays or other things come up, probably tourists will come and go there, and that will add to the incomes and provide some livelihood opportunities. So the border tourism is not only something that needs infrastructure but promotion, but it needs all the attention that we can give, because it can become a source of empowerment, livelihood generation, employment generation, and incomes to people who otherwise have to migrate in search of employment to the other parts of the state and other parts of the country. So I'm very happy that the PhD Chamber took up this initiative, because this is an initiative that would have not happened in the normal turn of events, and the series of webinars that they did and this document that they've produced, they should circulate it very widely and for a wider reach to everyone, because the people in the state governments, the local administration, because then only will we be able to focus our attention, because what definitely these areas need is more promotion, more of infrastructure creation, and to come on the tourist map of the country. And to do that, I'm sure tour operators and others would also take attention of this, especially the adventure tour operators or those who take people on spiritual tours through the border areas to other parts of the country. So my wish is success to this venture, and I'm sure it will help in creating more awareness about the potential of tourism in these border areas and the potential that it has to generate incomes and employment in those parts of the country. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to release the book, and once again, I'll congratulate PhD Chamber for their efforts. Thank you.
Thank you, Secretary Sir. Thank you very much for your kind appreciation for the Tourism and Hospitality Committee. And as you said that, yes, we are committed to share this report to all the district collectors. I am in touch with all the district collectors, those who participated, and also, sir, the areas which you have mentioned over there about the Vibrant Villages program. This report will also give details how the infrastructure is going to take shape and what kind of programs local government should take it up over there, not only to strengthen the infrastructure, but also to see that there should not be migration, during the winter times. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have, as you all are aware, that PhD-CCI is in, platform where we interact both the sides. So, we will take a few questions with the kind permission of Secretary. Yeah, the gentleman there, kindly introduce yourself. Please give him mic and kindly be brief. Give him mic over there. And your question is addressed to whom?
My name is Parthapatim Das. Considering border tourism, now if we look at a traveler's usage behavior, he won't go from a metro to border and then come back to the metro of the same city, same country as such. Rather, if he's going to a border, he will try to pass on to the next country as such, something which EU provides, basis Schengen visa. We can enter to Germany, then Switzerland, Austria, exit from Czech, or maybe Slovakia. We have BIMSTEC, BBIN as a multilateral block over here. Leveraging that, considering border tourism, are we providing some type of synchronization in that space so that somebody enters India and they can exit from Thailand or something that sort? Specifically on Northeast, we have ILP. ILP help in this border tourism? That's the question. Thank you.
That's all.
Okay, as far as ILP is concerned, I wouldn't like to get into the entire complexity of that. I will only say that I mentioned that there is a task force that we are setting up. One of the issues that we will try to tackle is how easily ILP can be made available to anyone who wants to travel, at least for the purposes of tourism. Right now, for somebody who goes to one state to travel to another state is another challenge. So few states, if you would be aware, Arunachal, I think, and Manipur, if I'm not mistaken, they've made this much simpler in the sense that it's all available online. You can apply and you can, get the ILP. So we will try to tackle it like that. The whole issue of ILP is a much larger question, which would be not proper for me to comment on right now.
On the other issue, see, right now as a country, our intent is to develop tourism to the border areas, because the border areas are scenic, beautiful, lacking in infrastructure. The people there need incomes and employment. And the idea is first to focus on that. Of course, once we go ahead and we travel that, there is a demand. For instance, just as you mentioned, people do say that we should have, for instance, a traveler who comes from abroad, he travels to, he comes to India, he wants to go to another country, he needs another visa. So can we have a visa that facilitates travel between countries? So these are things that are, continuing there is a continuing thought and discussion on this. Most of the answers to this are political in nature. So right now I'll say we'll concentrate on our, developing our own border areas. As and when the political climate is right, you'll see movement on the lines that you were desiring.
Yeah. Anybody else? Yeah, the gentleman there. And we will expect one question from the students also.
Sir, good evening. I'm Captain Shiv Yadav. Sir, we are also doing a different concept of border flying, that is border tourism, that is bush flying. We have recently did a small thing in Tanakpur. We successfully conducted flying near India and Nepal border. Sir, this bush flying is basically a open cockpit aircraft flying, that is two-seater. And in Europe, that is very famous. People fly from one place to another place. We have also introduced this concept to Gujarat government that we can fly approx 25 to 40 kilometers away from the border where we will get airspace clearance. We'll fly low and slow so that we can connect remote villages, remote spots of these border areas, and we will fly at 1,000 or 2,000 feet, and we can also see across the border. And we, sir, I have flown first time in Tanakpur, and I can say that is the best ever place I have flown ever. Sir, same way, this opportunity also lies in northeastern area. There are lots of World War II runways we are not in use. We need only grassy runways. We don't need pakka runways for these airfields. So, sir, if we can develop this bush flying concept in India along the near the border, we can show people our border, and also this is a new concept which can be developed and we can introduce to European also.
So it's an opinion, sir. It's not a question. Yeah. Thank you.
Sir,
yeah, it's opinion.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Anybody else? Okay. So before we wrap up the day and we request our co-chair to give the formal vote of thanks, we have certain presentations. Ladies and gentlemen, may I request Mr. Saket Dalmia to kindly give a small memento to Chief Guest of the Day, to Mr. Arvind Singh, Secretary, Ministry of Tourism, Government of India. A big round of applause for. May I request Dr. Deep Goyal, our chairman of the Health Committee, to kindly give a small memento to Mr. Harpreet Singh, Joint Secretary Donor. A big round of applause for him. May I request Mr. Dushyant Bhalla, our co-chair, to kindly give a small memento to Mr. Rama Kamaraju, Senior Consultant, Aspirational Districts Program, Niti Aayog. A big round of applause for him. Ladies and gentlemen, we have certain students also over here. May I request Mr. Saket Dalmia to kindly hand over the participation certificate to Dr. R.K. Singh. He is the Dean of Jagannath Institute of Management. Dr. Singh, if you are, yeah, he is here. A big round of applause for the students, those who have participated today. I think there has to be a clap, you know, because yes, students, those who are participating, and they always preserve, and this is a very important. May I request Saket ji to kindly give the participation certificate to Ms. Palak Marwa. She is from IHM Pusa, Delhi. Palak, if you are around, yes. You can hand over all the certificates to the fellow students, those who have participated. A big round of applause. Now I would request Mr. Dushyant Bhalla to kindly come, our co-chair, a young co-chair, to kindly give the formal vote of thanks. Over to Mr. Bhalla.
Good evening, everyone. It gives me an immense pleasure to give the vote of thanks today on behalf of Chamber. Thank you, Mr. Arvind Singh, Secretary, Ministry of Tourism, Government of India. Thank you to Mr. Harpreet Singh and Mr. Ramaraju and all the dignitaries on the dais. Also, on behalf of Chamber, I would like to thank all the 18 district collectors and residents commission for all the support and guidance for organizing the 18 webinars on the border tourism. Also, I would like to thank Team Tourism Secretary for bringing out the knowledge report on the white page. Well, as Mr. Rajan said that, you know, all these destinations, once the infrastructure is developed, gives us the new destinations for after COVID, you know, for all the domestic and international market. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And as Mr. Sehgal has rightly reminded before we wrap up, we have Colonel Saurabh Sanyal, who have been posted on most of these borders. So we will have just few more minutes, sir. If I can request Colonel Saurabh Sanyal, our Secretary General, to kindly give the concluding remarks. Over to Colonel Saurabh Sanyal. A big round of applause for him.
Thank you, Dr. Yogesh. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Dignitaries on the dais, our Honorable Chief Guest, Secretary Tourism, our distinguished guest of honors who are on the dais. It is an immense pleasure for me to, you know, to involve in the border tourism, because I've been mostly deployed in the northern borders and in the northeastern borders as a veteran. And I'm delighted to be present here in this August gathering. Few facts which, of course, the Joint Secretary Donor brought out. I would like to, you know, tell something more about it. It was in the words of Mr. P.B. Acharya when I was posted there. He was the Governor of Arunachal Pradesh. And some of the very, very astonishing facts which he brought on the table for the northeastern region, especially, which is totally unexplored today even by our Indian friends and our industry. See, he made a very valid point that very few of us know enough about the Northeast. Here are some of the surprising facts. There are 8 states in the Northeast that we are all aware. There are nearly 220 languages which are spoken in the Northeast. It's a mix of Tibetan, Southeast Asian and East Indian cultures. Northeast is the only part of India that the Mughal could not conquer. Now this is a very big thing. The entire country was ruled by the Mughals and thereafter by the Britishers. But this is the only state which was could not be ruled because of the terrain and the geography of that area. The Ahom dynasty, which ruled the Northeast for 600 years, is the longest unbroken dynasty in the Indian history. Now, I'm sure many of us would not be aware about this. The world's largest river island, the Majuli, and the world's smallest river island, the Umananda, both are in the Northeast. So 7 prominent national parks of India are located in the Northeast. Shillong is considered as the rock capital of India. All the rock festivals take place, not today, for 3 decades. Shillong has been the rocking capital in the northeastern region, and even Kailash Kher was the latest one who went and had a rock festival there, in the Hornbill Festival in Nagaland. So this is the kind of culture that we had, which is totally unexplored. So all of us need to visit the northeastern states. The Muga silk and the Sialkuchi in Assam is one of the world's largest weaving villages, where the entire population engaged in weaving silk fabrics. It is the cleanest region in the India. Northeastern region is the cleanest in the entire country. If you go there, you'll see the roads, you'll see the villages, you'll be surprised to see the clean environment there. 70% of the country's orchids are found in the northeastern region, basically in Arunachal Pradesh. Mizoram and Tripura are among the states which has got the highest literacy in India. So these are some of the great things where we can talk about the northeastern region, the western region, that is the entire country, the Lawrence of Arabia. Some of the shots were shot in the Thar Desert. Let me tell you, recently there was, you must have heard about a film called The King of Persia. It's a very big film involving tremendous, there are 200 horses, 50 camels, some 100 elephants, and this entire film was shot from the Hollywood. It was shot in Rajasthan. It is one of the greatest places which we can develop. If world has got 7 wonders, we can have 21 wonders in India. So this is the kind of, this is the kind of culture and heritage and the flora and fauna that we have. We have the Alps in the northern area, the Himalayas represent that. In that, the Sahara Desert is represented in the western region, where the Thar Desert is lying. Similarly, the coastal region is full of tourism. The islands, as the President brought out, island tourism is going to become a very big thing in the near future, where so many islands, including the Andaman and Nicobar Islands, are there, and they can be, on the PPP model or on the BOT model, it can be developed into beautiful destinations. Excellent, excellent, sir. So I would wish to thank each, the Ministry of Tourism, Government of India, the Niti Aayog, Government of India, and all the stakeholders today who are present, including the donor. This is a very, very important aspect, and I would wish to thank the team behind this hard work, this research which has been done. I have gone through every page. This 177-page report is an eye-opener, let me tell you, on the border tourism. And if this can be implemented by all the districts and all the state governments, it will be a win-win situation for India, because millions of jobs can be created. What you need is the infrastructure, the road, the hotels, the security, the safety aspect, and refueling facilities when the travelers are traveling along the road. Northeast is doing a wonderful job along the mighty Brahmaputra from the east to the deeper east and the far east, and the Asian highways have come up. So that is another great place where trade and border trade can flourish, like what is happening in Agartala along with Bangladesh. The same thing will happen from the border regions of the northeastern states. With these words, I once again thank each one of you, our President, our Secretary Tourism, our Joint Secretary from Donair, and the entire team which has worked for bringing this report here. And we profusely thank the Ministry of Tourism for releasing this report officially. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and Jai Hind.
Thank you, Colonel Sanyal, very much for your kind appreciation. And as we have always been saying that the initiative of Ministry of Tourism, I assure the Secretary, sir, on behalf of not the Tourism Committee, on my personal behalf and on behalf of the Chamber, sir, we are going to take it up and also to the Joint Secretary Donor. Sir, we have given you this detailed report card since 2010, what the initiatives we have been taking in the Tourism Committee. So we will be working very closely, sir, with you. Apart from the inbound tourism, we also work for the outbound tourism. As Mr. Sehgal has rightly pointed out, last week we were the synergy partner with the Vietnam, to come to Vietnam and to have more and more people to visit that country. So we are here to promote inbound and outbound tourism both. Ladies and gentlemen, we also thank our supporter, D Pioneer. Without their support, this program was not possible. And all the sponsors and the people, those who have supported us. Ladies and gentlemen, let us go outside and then have tea with us. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.